So thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm going to explain what we're doing at Savana at the intersection of evidence generation and artificial intelligence, a topic that is not usually seen around there. I would like to start with this article that some oncologists published by using our technology. They basically solved a need, which was having an algorithm that can predict who will have a thrombosis or a bleeding among anticoagulated patients with having any solid tumor. This is something that was done randomly in the past, but now they have this algorithm which was created by using machine learning and AI and already validated against registries of national societies of oncology and very soon in the actual guidelines of oncology. So AI in actual real practice. And I have this other one, which is very different, much more oriented to pharmacoeconomics and drugs. In this case, as we all know, remdesivir is a drug that has had a bit of controversy because it wasn't absolutely clear in the clinical trials if it worked or not, it was useful or not. At the beginning, it looked like the clinical trials were positive, but then not that much. Now it's back. In any case, they came to us and they said, can you generate using your AI actual real-world evidence from the medical records of different hospitals without human data collection, just automatically, even reading the clinical notes? Can you extract that information and analyze if it works or not? And these were our results in this case. We proved that it worked pretty well and that it was worth it. But what is interesting about both articles is that the databases were not created by humans. They were created by machines. We had actual robots, AI systems that went into the medical records systems of different sites in different languages and different countries. And regardless of the file format, if it was a PDF, if it was unstructured, if there was a lot of copy paste, regardless of all that, we could actually run models, machine learning based linguistic models that extracted the information and that read not just the ICD codes, not just the structured information, not just the claims, but everything that was written there. The outcomes, there were radiology reports, the pathology reports. And we did this way before ChatGPT existed. And we did it, what is probably most interesting, in a way that is, of course, anonymized and fully respectful of privacy, but not only that, but reliable from a scientific point of view. Because that is the difference with anything that is out there regarding technology and generative AI and so on. There are so many tools that can now transform text, but how do you know if they are right or wrong? That is where we put in place already years ago in the Journal of Medical Informatics, it's published, our evaluation methodology for clinical natural language processing. So that when you say that this variable is this variable, it's actually stroke, you know that it's right. You know what is the reliability, the confidence intervals from the linguistic point of view to say that that registry created by a machine is as good or even better sometimes as if it was created by actual specialists. And that quality assessment is absolutely key. And that is what we kind of introduced in the market, which didn't exist before. And now we can do things like this. So for example, we have this monoclonal gammopathies, which we want to study, and we go to different sites and automatically we generate the table, even considering things that are so difficult from the linguistic point of view, like temporality, and of course, probability or negation or acronyms or common names and proper names, or dosage or pathologies. All these things can be tackled by an actual machine learning, which has been trained for 10 years with 5 billion clinical documents in 13 countries in more than 200 hospitals. And now our brain is good enough to be trained specifically. We have this kind of data dictionaries per pathology, and we can do nice things in this regard. And just out of curiosity, sometimes we find all kinds of challenges. So for example, it turns out that in the majority of the cases, when a patient has the diabetes, it's not explicitly said in many sites around the world if it's type 1 or type 2, as simple as that. But for a machine, that is a problem. That is a problem unless you have machine learning. If you have machine learning, you can train an actual very small deep learning model that can find out if the patient has a that type 1 or type 2 diabetes, even if it's not explicitly said. They can go to the right box. So you imagine this that we did in this disease, you apply to anything and you can solve the problems even when the texts by doctors are dirty and not properly created. That is what allows us to create this registries where, as I said, we have these dictionaries of models that can go into the medical records and extract variable by variable as much as needed, depending on the outcomes, on the endpoints. And we really believe that we came to a new situation where manual data collection is not going to be needed anymore, especially in retrospective real-world evidence type phase 4 studies. There's not a reason for humans to do this anymore. They can use their time now in thinking and designing and analyzing. And everything that I'm saying, you shouldn't believe a word. And unless I showed you what I'm showing, which is the publications, the reality that in the last years we were able to convince the editorial, the reviewers and the editors of the journals, some very interesting journals there, that what we're doing is reliable and scientific, and that we discovered a new way of doing things that is going to stay. So we really believe that there's no further need for traditional registries, traditional observational studies. There's not a need for that. If you attend to the CIO of Mayo Clinic, he says that when you're trying to create a data lake to do actual AI, you need to go step by step. And probably you have to start with structured information and then going into unstructured information, clinical notes, which is what we're talking about here. And then from there, you can build telemetry and then omics and so on. But you have to go layer by layer. And we discovered a few years ago that the second layer, the unstructured information, was a difficult part, and we wanted to be part of that. And it's very interesting to see how that is a fact. So, for example, where it says CIE, sorry, that's in original in Spanish, that should be ICD codes. If you look at the ability to find patients with using ICD codes, and then you run actual natural language processing, AI models, you see the difference in finding the patients. Those are just internal studies that we do to prove to test our technology. But the thing is that even when I'm talking a lot about linguistics and natural language processing, the chain is longer. So at Savana, we take care of a few things beyond that. We take care of de-identifying the information, anonymizing it. By the way, we use machine learning that can de-identify the information, even if it's inside the unstructured text. So it's not just footer and header. You need to go into the text and extract the personal data. We do that with a tool. Then we run the NLP models I've been talking about. Then we contribute to mix that, to merge that with the structured information, because what the hospital wants is the holistic view, not just what we do. They want the structured information. And then from there, you can jump into actual registries, but which are not normal registries. They are what we call next-gen registries, because they're built on open EHR, they're exportable, and the monitoring of the variables is fully automatic. So a lot of human labor that is saved there. Of course, everything has to be standardized, has to be international and interoperable. That's why I use OMOP when it's needed, and it's part of the way in which we work. So this is the idea. We've been doing this for years in different countries, in different hospitals, with all kinds of medical record systems, dedicated with a team dedicated just to this task of extracting the information and analyzing it, working with pretty much every big pharmaceutical company, with all kinds of healthcare providers, public, private. And with those credentials is what I wanted to leave you. I invite you to go into our website and check what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I'm very happy to collaborate with you in the future, hopefully. Thank you so much.